104 Entertainment presents
a White Snoop production.
And welcome back, everybody. This is White Snoop T-Rose. It's the White Snoop T-Rose Show. Of course, we're doing all the NBA previews. Tonight, we're looking over the Southwest Division. It's because we want to start off with, of course, Western Conference champs, San Antonio Spurs. I don't think that we need to remind you, but we're going to anyway, of the heartbreak that was the NBA Finals. Game 6. I mean, they had the freaking trophy in their hand. And for whatever reason,
I'm sure one
Greg
of them,
Popovich.
I'm sure one of them was holding it. I'm sure one of them touched it too.
I mean,
man,
somebody had the Spurs T-shirts in the back, and they started piling them up with the hats on top.
They had the locker room all taped up for the champagne.
Yeah, they were ready to go. And Greg Popovich pulls Tim Duncan out. Chris Bosh grabs the rebound.
The only one he got all series.
Dishes it out to Ray Allen for the dagger 3. I mean, and I don't think anybody's surprised that Ray Allen can hit a dagger 3. And that had to be probably one of the most heartbreaking moments. I mean, in the top 5 heartbreaking moments in Spurs history, along with the Derek Fisher 0.4 seconds. I mean, that had to hurt. I mean, and then it was just, the game was over. And then in Game 7, of course, the Miami Heat close it out. But they're still the Western Conference champs. I mean, we got to look at the top, the upsides. For the most part, they have a lot of the guys coming back. Tony Parker, in my opinion, the second best point guard in the league behind only Chris Paul. I mean, a couple years ago, he was considered so underrated and nobody would put him in the top 5. Finally, he's getting some of the recognition. Of course, he was in MVP talks. I mean, you bring back Tim Duncan.
The ageless wonder. Just defies,
big fundamental.
Defies logic.
He's just such a phenomenal talent. I'd say greatest power forward of all time.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Of course, Manu Ginobili's coming back. That's their big 3. Ginobili re-signed. Danny Green's coming back. Danny Green looked really nice in the playoffs for them. Of course, he's still young, still developing. If he can add an off-the-dribble game kind of to his offense to try to keep the defense honest, he could become such a great talent. I really like Kawhi Leonard, too. I actually like Kawhi Leonard more than him.
Yeah, well, I'm a Kawhi Leonard guy.
Yeah.
One of our friends was our boy Brian. Shout out to Brian. He's a Spurs fan. He actually ripped the Spurs organization for making that deal, and I told him, you just wait. This kid's gonna be good, and
I would take him over George Hill.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's any debate about that. No, Danny Green. No, you're right about Danny Green. He needs to be able to do more than just shoot, because I think the games where he wasn't effective, they were able to run him off the perimeter and make him put the ball on the floor, and that's obviously not his game.
Mm-hmm.
Manu Ginobili. I am actually surprised that he didn't retire. I mean, he looked like in the final. There were some games in the finals. He looked like he didn't have anything left in the tank. But we'll see.
They really got to watch his minutes.
Long as just Tim Duncan. Whatever Tim Duncan is drinking, he needs to share it with Manu. So
share his diet.
Yeah, do something. They need to start working out together. Something.
I actually really like the acquisition of Marco Bellinelli. He might be able to take some of the load off of Manu. Because they play the same position. Yeah. And he's a good scorer. He can distribute a little bit. I like Marco.
No, he's always been a steady, solid player.
So I do like that pickup for the Spurs.
He is playing for probably arguably the best coach in the league, who just finds ways to just insert guys, and it works from like.
I think my favorite. I was thinking about this too. When I was looking at the roster last night. I mean, my favorite part about Greg Popovich. I mean, how many people have heard of Jeff Aries and Aaron Baines? Have you ever heard of them?
No.
You have no idea who those two are?
No.
And for some reason, being on Greg Popovich's team, they'll do something this season that you go, who was that?
Yeah.
And
Kind of like
how did they
Gary,
do it?
like Gary Neal a couple, last year.
Unfortunately, he's not with them anymore.
Oh yeah, he moved on. But they find these guys and they just kind of insert them in the lineup. And
I mean, Corey Joseph is on there. I mean, he had a couple of good games. Dando DeCola, before last season, nobody knew who that was, and he had a couple of big games for them throughout the season. Of course, he's not cracking the starting lineup for anything, but Greg Popovich is such phenomenal. He is a phenomenal coach. I mean, I was so stunned when in my opinion, it was a huge mistake to take Tim Duncan out of those crunch time moments during the finals, and I was so shocked by it because I have so much respect for Pop, and I just feel like it was a huge mistake and possibly cost them their trophy and banner.
yeah, well, we were sitting here watching that game, and we kind of were like, oh, it's odd they took Tim Duncan out. And, you're not really thinking much of it. LeBron misses the three. And then, like I said, Chris Bosh.
Probably the easiest rebound of his career, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
nobody towering next to him.
No one, he gets the rebound, kicks out to Ray Allen, who, step back three, mind you. He had to step back and take that shot. So
well, that's what they needed. So.
As far as San Antonio goes, I think they'll be right.
They're still title contenders.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Just because they have the core, you have Coach Pop. I mean, I see them at no lower than a top 3 seed in the Western Conference.
The one thing I always love about the Spurs every year at the beginning of the season, they're always too old.
Yeah, always.
They're always too old. I think they finally outlasted that because I didn't really hear that a lot last year, but. I hope everybody's outgrown the idea that the Spurs are ever going to be too old, or Tim Duncan's ever going to be too old. Because with Greg Popovich, and Tony Parker's been phenomenal for them the last couple seasons, and they're definitely title contenders. I wouldn't be shocked to see them be the team to win this year. They're definitely in the mix. They could easily win the Western Conference again.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, no doubt. I don't know if there's anything else to say about San Antonio.
No, I think we nailed it.
Okay, so
I guess we move on to Houston. Of course,
Houston.
When it comes to free agency, I mean, they had the biggest pick out of any other team in the NBA by adding arguably the best center in the league in Dwight Howard. Alongside, of course, James Harden had a phenomenal season last year. Really broke out, kind of showed everybody how good he was. I know there was obviously going to be some doubters. This guy came from being the 6th man in Oklahoma City to being the man in Houston, and it was a flawless transition. And he played so well. I mean, finally teams are fearing the beard.
There were a lot of James Harden doubters. I wouldn't say I wasn't one of them. But I wanted to see how he would break out, how he would adjust.
I wouldn't call myself a doubter, but I definitely had questions.
Yeah, I mean,
I think a lot. I think everybody did.
I mean, obviously there is that adjustment. I mean, you go from being the number 3 guy to being the number 1 guy. You gotta, adjust to, the defense. They're,
it's different.
Yeah, they're looking to stop you every night.
Yeah.
But I think he adjusted well. Chandler Parsons.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, no, I mean he's just kind of one of those
definitely had a good
steady guys. He was a good player in college, and he's found a knack in the NBA.
I think the big questions with Houston moving forward, not even just this season, just in general, is of course we have the 2 contracts that are going to blow up next season. We have Jeremy Lin, who could possibly be their starting point guard on most nights. I don't know if you read recently, Kevin McHale said that they don't have 1 starting point guard, they have 2, and he's going to be switching the role between Jeremy Lin and Patrick Beverley for who he feels is best for the team,
playing better.
And so of course, I mean, so Jeremy Lin and Omer Asik, of course, Asik was their starting center last year, and he's not going to start this year over Dwight Howard. So now he moves to the bench, and next year both these guys are set to make over $17 million apiece, which is going to be a lot of money for guys that are going to be coming off your bench.
Yeah. Well, they call it the poison pill contract in the NBA. That you backload it, and that's how the teams really most teams won't match the offer to retain the guy. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do this year. or even going into next year. I mean, do they try to flip one of those guys? Maybe in both of them. I definitely think Asik is the more intriguing guy. Or do you say, or...
I mean, I like them both. I mean, obviously, nobody likes the $17 million for either of these guys.
No.
I mean, I think the intrigue for these guys is what you're giving up to get them if you're the other team. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trading for an Omer Sheik or a Jeremy Lin, of course you got to remember the way the NBA trade rules work. If they trade for him this year while they're only making 5 or 7, somewhere in that range, you only have to give up, $5-7 million players. But to get them at $17 million, you have to give up $17 million players. So I mean, if somebody trades for him this year, and you're thinking about like, look, I have to overpay him for a year, and you're interested in bringing them back. You know what I mean? You have to give up a lot. Of course, that could be interesting. Of course, next year teams that trade for him probably be more for the contract. It's a huge expiring deal, and you could offload, contracts that, longer deals that you're trying to get off your books quicker. Of course, then you'd have to have guys that are interesting to Houston that can help them. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't even know if Houston's actively seeking trades. I know there's always been the talks. I mean, they said they're not trading them, but you never know if the right deal comes across.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when the whole Dwight Howard thing first went down, they said Asik wasn't happy about it, that he wanted out, and they said they weren't going to move him. But like you said, if the right offer comes on the table, I definitely don't think Daryl Morey will hesitate to pull the trigger, as we well know.
Yeah, Daryl Morey's definitely been active, and he definitely is not afraid to make a leap.
No, he's not shy at all.
But I mean, if you really look at the way that their roster is starting to shape up, it looks like Daryl Morey has done the right thing. Because I mean, the roster is starting to shape up really nice. Like I said, I mean, I'm a big fan of Chandler Parsons. I mean, he took the chance on James Harden, which obviously paid off. Now he has Dwight Howard. Of course, now the question is how will these players all play together? I mean, we're talking before the season. We're only talking what they look like on paper. I mean, we saw a little in the preseason, but I mean, it's only the preseason. I mean, if we went by the preseason, then the Eastern Conference would be between Toronto and Chicago, and that's just not how the Eastern Conference Finals is going to look like in May. And so, I mean, you look at these teams, and of course they still have a couple moves to make. I really like Ronnie Brewer, Aaron Brooks. They have coming off their bench.
Henri Caspi,
Henri Caspi as well.
Very good player.
So they have some nice pieces still. I mean, of course, I think they still have some room to grow. I think they're going to be in the middle of the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think right around the 4 or 5.
I would say like a 5, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 seed.
Yeah.
Obviously, the point guard position is going to kind of be their. There's going to be eyes in that position because he's kind of he's got to get them into their offense.
You got Lin and you got Beverly. They're two very different. Yeah. They're different point guards. I mean, Jeremy Lin can shoot the ball. Of course, he's been a little turnover prone. You got Patrick Beverly, who's the better defender. So they could be interesting. I mean, like I said, I really like Dwight Howard. I mean, I really wish he would develop more in the post. They're probably going to use him a lot in pick and rolls. I mean, I think the pick and roll between James Harden and Dwight Howard would be so dangerous because you have to guard Dwight rolling to the basket, and James Harden, you have to stay on him too. So they could be a very, very dangerous pick and roll team. As well as, if Jeremy Lin is on the floor, he could shoot, and you have Chandler Parsons who can shoot, so you have to stay home. And pick and roll is probably the hardest thing to defend, in basketball.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's gonna be interesting in Houston. They're, like you said, they definitely hit they definitely won the free agent lottery with getting Dwight.
My favorite part about the Dwight Howard going to Houston has always been the coach. I love him playing for Kevin McHale.
Yeah, no, definitely Kevin McHale, one of the best bigs of all time to play the game. So if there's anyone that will show him how to.
And I heard Hakeem has been around.
Yeah, Hakeem's been helping him out, and he's been working with all those guys. So
Dwight, if for any reason you're actually watching this show, please listen to these guys. I mean, imagine if Dwight Howard can develop, his skill, from the likes of an Hakeem Olajuwon and a Kevin McHale.
Hakeem the Dream.
I mean, he could I mean, the sky's the limit with this guy if he can listen to those guys. He's so talented. He's so big. He's strong. He's athletic. I mean, he could do so much. And paired with what James Harden has become, they could be an interesting duo.
Now onto a funny note you wanted to mention.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. I had it crossed off.
Funny note here.
Only because Marcus Camby, I mean, granted he didn't put it on the LeBron scale, but he did this whole decision thing after he was traded from New York to Toronto, and then the Raptors released him, and he did this whole thing. Should I go to Chicago, Houston, Miami? And it was dragged on. Remember we were debating it with people that we know. Possibly could be watching the show right now, and I'm sure they remember the debate, and we're all going back and forth to where Marcus Camby should go. I mean, and we're talking about a 10-minute player, 10-minute player guy who might not even play on certain nights. So, of course, obviously we like the idea of him going places where, he didn't have to play a lot of minutes, which unfortunately Miami, they don't have a strong center position, so you don't really want him going there. But, you looked at Joakim Noah and Dwight Howard, and you're like, okay, he can play behind them. He finally goes to Houston, and they waive him. It's like the decision nobody cared about.
Yeah. So,
Poor Marcus Camby.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if he wants to play,
maybe he can go back to Chicago.
I'm sure if he.
Hey, I'm really sorry I went to Houston the first time. Obviously, that was a mistake.
I'm sure if he wants to play again, Marcus he'll pop up on a roster somewhere. I mean, obviously, we all know that he's going to play. He's only going to want to go to contending teams.
Yeah. Maybe Chicago will take him coming off the bench. I mean, they only have, what's his name, coming off their bench? Nazir Muhammad.
No.
Who's probably most famous for leveling LeBron James. I don't know if you remember that one.
Did he push him that hard? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say he hit him hard.
Oh, okay.
Somehow he leveled him.
Yeah.
And that's about the only thing he's ever done in his career.
I think LeBron leveled himself, but that's okay.
The king of the flop.
Yeah.
So moving on, we'll stay in, of course, Texas. We'll talk about the third team in the triangle, the Dallas Mavericks.
Ooh, Dallas.
I remember, of course, anybody watched yesterday's show, we talked about the Bobcats. This is another one of our favorite owners, Mark Cuban.
Oh.
I'm a big fan of Cuban. He's funny.
How many white medium T-shirts do you think he owns?
I kind of like him though, because he's a billionaire.
He doesn't
looks like
one?
Yeah, he looks like he's a busboy at a restaurant on the weekends or something.
I know. I wonder how many he owns. Shout out to Ryan Averso, by the way.
I do like their management. They have Donnie Nelson. I like Rick Carlisle, still the head coach there. I was thinking about this when I was looking at the roster yesterday. I was looking at the roster and I looked at Rick Carlisle, and I know they declined obviously since winning the championship in 2011. And obviously it was because Mark Cuban decided to unload, and they haven't been able to reload because no free agents, big name free agents have gone there. And I like that they haven't done the whole blame and fire the coach thing. It just seems to be so prevalent in the NBA and across sports even. But I feel like in the NBA they fire coaches so quickly. So shout out to them for not firing the coach. I actually really like Rick Carlisle, aka Jim Carrey double.
Jim Carrey double.
He really does look like Jim Carrey.
He does.
If you don't believe me, look it up.
Yeah, no, he's he's been a good coach. No, he's been a good coach everywhere. I mean, wasn't he the coach in Indiana when Ron Artest Blues?
Oh, yeah.
Poor guy.
So
but anyway,
I mean, they have an interesting squad. Yeah. I think they're going to be one of the better teams that don't make the playoffs, unfortunately.
I mean,
I tried to put them in last year, and they almost did it.
Yeah.
And I think if they did make it, I'd probably put them in again, because my faith worked. But because they didn't make it last year, and I don't see how they're better than last year. I mean, they bring back Dirk, which might be an upside, because remember, Dirk at the beginning of the season didn't play, then he was hurt, and then he's playing hurt, so he wasn't himself. Mm-hmm. I like Dallenberg. They added Dallenberg. They bring back Marion. Monte Ellis that they bring in instead of O.J. Mayo. He may be more skilled, but he's less efficient. I like Jose Calderon, so I guess that's an upside. You look at their bench, though. I mean, I like Jay Crowder. He's the young kid. He had some good flashes. Vince Carter, of course, is at the end of his career. I don't even know if Devin Harris is really going to play there. They just, I don't know. They don't have a lot to love. They brought in DeJuan Blair, forgot about him, from San Antonio. They'll be good. They're definitely going to win some. I mean, Dirk's going to win some games, no matter who's on the roster.
And I think Monte will too. I mean, like you said,
Well, on his good nights.
Yeah, on his good nights, Monte will win.
I don't see the strengths defensively. Sean Marion's getting a little older. Jose Calderon's a decent defender, but he's not great. I think he's underrated defensively. A lot of people think he's very poor, but he's a decent. I mean, he's not a top defensive player. And so, I mean, when you have a backcourt that's just not that good defensively overall, and, Monte Ellis is okay, Jose Calderon's okay, Sean Marion's not that great, Dirk's okay, and then Dallenberg, I mean, they're going to be weak defensively. They're going to give up a lot of baskets, I feel. I mean, especially, not the, just shifting backwards the last team we talked about. I mean, Houston, that just puts points on the board. When they have to face a team that's like that just, drops buckets, they're not going to be able to stop them. And then they're going to be... And Jose Calderon, my biggest thing I've always said about Jose is I don't think he shoots enough. He does have a nice stroke, but he doesn't shoot enough. Then you got Monte Ellis, who might shoot too much, And, of course, Dirk's going to put up buckets. I mean, they don't really have a lot of great scorers besides them. I mean, Vince Carter has his nights on and off now. He's getting a little older. And I don't feel like they're going to score enough points and stop the other team enough to really have a lot of faith in this team. I think they're at the bottom of the lottery. Unfortunately, they're not going to get that great of a pick because they're going to be in the early teens. But
no, yeah, I mean, yeah, Dallas. It's like you said, they won the championship, and then Cuban kind of he didn't blow it up. He just didn't. He just wasn't going to overpay for the likes of
JJ Barea.
JJ Barea, Tyson Chandler, guys like that. So he tried replacing them with lesser value players, and it didn't work out. But no, I agree. I don't have them as a playoff team. I think like they'll be like like you said, like one of the teams outside looking in, like 10th, 11th seed. So no, there's really not much more to say about Dallas besides like the Rick Carlisle and Mark Cuban talk.
Yeah. Well, when they're looking in, one of the playoff teams they will see would be the Memphis Grizzlies. Interesting stuff going on in Memphis. For whatever God's unknown reason, they did not bring back their coach. For the life of me, I don't get it. I guess it was a disagreement with ownership or something. Yeah, but they got this new guy. See, this is the fun part is they started building this team with the the old owner a couple of years ago. They paid up Rudy Gay. They paid Zach Randolph. They paid Marc Gasol.
Now the new guy
Conley's got money.
Now the new guy's here, and he's like, well,
we're not looking to spend that.
So
and of course they unload Rudy Gay. He goes to Toronto. There's been a lot of talk of Zach Randolph moving. I mean, of course, nothing's really been.
It wouldn't surprise last year there was a lot of Zebo on the block, moving, being on the move. They just paid Mike Conley. My biggest issue with this team last year, after without Rudy Gay, is it's like where's the perimeter scoring going to come from? And I think in the playoffs it was very evident that it was they had the Zebo down low. It was very easy to double team him because you look at their roster, it's like who's the shooter? Who's
Van Dexter?
Yeah, and exactly. Jared Bayless is hot and cold.
They just added Mike Miller. I mean, Mike Miller isn't going to create scoring off the perimeter, but he's a shooter.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Maybe some of these guys have to stay home on.
Yeah, no, yeah.
At least give them something.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
Defensively, I mean, it's going to be tough to score in the squad.
Oh yeah.
It's their own scoring. I mean, they have to find ways to score themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the NBA guys are going to score. I don't care how good you are defensively. I mean, I think the lowest scoring game since the shot clock was 56. But you're not going to get that on a regular day basis. Most NBA teams score 90 points.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, so you need to find a way to score 91.
Yeah, no, like a guy like Tony Allen, love Tony Allen, but he's not exactly a.
The only time he scores when it's off the break on a defensive play.
Yeah. So he's so.
I mean, I like Mike Conley. I mean, Mike Conley's going to create some scoring. I mean, obviously Gasol and Randolph are. I like Gasol, especially. I like Gasol in the high post because he's such a great passer.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's such a phenomenal passer for a big guy. Of course, he can hit, that little 10, 15-foot mid-range shot. He can also put his back to the basket. Randolph kind of do the same thing. He's not quite as, quite the passer Marc Gasol is. But he can hit like a little mid-range, and, he can put his back to the basket. They're certainly going to get their rebounds.
Yeah, but like I said, I think this team it's very easy to defend the one-dimensional teams, and the Grizzlies, to me, are like,
Definitely.
when it comes scoring wise, are just very one-dimensional. They have,
It's going in the post.
it's all in the post. Like Conley, he's gonna,
He's not even a shooter either. He even tries to get the paint.
and he's more he distributes too, but when he drives, there's just really, like I said,
He drives to layup or kick.
Yeah, and there's no one to kick to, unfortunately. So
Well, except for Mike Miller.
Mike Miller's there now.
Yeah.
So
They call him Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, because there's the picture of him when he was all bandaged up. Anyway.
That poor guy.
Yeah, but
So yeah, that's pretty much that. I mean, the Grizzlies can get home court again. I think. For the first round, I should say. I think they're going to be somewhere between that 3 and 5 seed. Probably. Well, I don't even know if they get the 3. Maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5 is about.
I think they're gonna end up in the 4 or 5 matchup, which is where they've been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
I think they're kind of in the same spot.
Yeah, and this new coach they have, he's got an interesting. There's gonna be a lot of eyes, because if they don't play as good as they did last year, they're gonna all,
He's gonna get it.
Yeah,
Because Lionel Hollins did it.
No, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, no. So,
they'll be in the playoffs. I want to see what they do in the regular season before I really, under this new coach. I think second round, right now, I think second round probably be safe.
yeah, at least
I think they're a second round team.
At least a second round team. So we get to talk about the Pelicans now?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I never thought in my lifetime that I would talk about an NBA team called the Pelicans. But thanks to new owner Tom Benson, we are talking about the New Orleans Pelicans. Nothing on this team is as ugly as their name.
No, they actually they made a couple big splashes in the offseason. I was a little surprised.
They had Drew Holiday.
The Drew Holiday deal was I think that was a good deal for them.
Yeah, they traded Vasquez for Tyreek Evans.
Yeah, Tyreek Evans.
They still have Eric Gordon.
He's got to stay on the court. He hasn't really, he's had the knee issues.
Sin Rivers on their bench. Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, like I told you, I think there will come a time when they have to make decisions on a couple of these guys, because you look at a guy like Tyreek Evans, who is a starting quality talent. I think Austin Rivers can grow into a starting quality talent, and those guys like to put it up.
Yeah.
And then you throw Eric Gordon into that mix if he can stay on the court. That's 3 guys that we're talking like volume shooters here. So they're gonna have to figure out.
They're still young. I think they're going to be back in the lottery.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I think they'll be improved from last season though.
Yeah.
As long as they can stay healthy. They have a lot of guys that have been hurt. Eric Gordon, Austin Rivers, and Anthony Davis. Are all notable names that have been hurt.
Yeah. Well, if you remember what I said last year, they have to be patient. There's got to be patience with these guys. But now I feel that with the moves that they made acquiring these guys, maybe they're trying to get there.
Yeah.
But I still don't.
I feel like right now it's up to Monty Williams to kind of just let them play, and then down the line, Dell Demps, then he's going to have some decisions to make on who stays, who goes.
Yeah, I think big decisions, because like I said, you got.
But for now, you kind of just got to let these guys play. You're not playing for a championship. You're kind of everybody's auditioning.
Yeah,
You're either auditioning for a spot on the roster or to be part of a trade.
Yeah. So there'll be but I think they'll be one of the intriguing teams to watch though on a nightly basis. It won't be such a horrible thing to put a Pelicans game on every once in a while.
They'll definitely be fun to watch.
Yeah,
I'll definitely watch in a couple.
Just try,
myself.
just ignore the name Pelicans.
Yeah.
You'll be all set.
I was against the idea.
Yeah, I don't even know how do you even come up with that. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, we're gonna change our team name. You know what we should call ourselves? The Pelicans.
What the sad part is though? It's not only did somebody come up with the idea, But somebody probably looked at it and went, I like that.
Our state bird. Right?
Friends don't let friends name their basketball teams the Pelicans. Like, there should have been somebody there just be like, you know how that doesn't sound good?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, don't use it.
Yeah, don't do that.
Anything.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys can make a deal with Utah, get the Jazz back. You know, the way the Charlotte took your Hornets name back?
Yeah.
And start moving everything back.
Yeah, no, Pelicans.
Yeah, not a fan of the name.
Yeah. That'll be one jersey that I do not add to my collection.
No. I can't imagine their gear getting like people running out to the store. I don't know, maybe if you're born and raised in Louisiana and you have like a love for a Pelican, maybe you're a big Fruit Loops fan.
Unless you're a diehard Anthony
Eat
Davis.
Fruit Loops for breakfast every day, like you love Pelicans.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna go with no.
Unless you really want Anthony
Anthony
Davis jersey
no.
that bad.
Get his Kentucky jersey.
The unibrow.
Yeah. Or yeah, buy the brow. Don't get a Pelican jersey. I can't condone it.
Oh.
So I don't know if you want to add anything else on any of these squads here in the Southwest.
No, not a whole lot.
Who do you have winning the division?
Oh.
Not quite as easy as the.
I'm gonna go with San Antonio.
I have to agree with you.
I'm gonna go with San Antonio. I don't think Houston has enough. I can't even pronounce their power forward's name. Even though I remember they drafted him.
Monte-Yunus.
I think it was 4
I know Monte-Yunus is right. I don't know how to pronounce his first name.
I think it was 4 years ago they drafted him late in the first round.
But you've always been keen on names.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, yeah. You'll find that out as the show goes on.
He's a big name guy. So. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you though. I think San Antonio. I mean, Memphis and Houston will probably be close, but maybe they'll each take turns leading the division. But I think San Antonio will squeak it out towards the end. Probably within 5 games, I'd say.
Yeah.
So I guess that pretty much wraps it up for the Southwest Division. So of course, like we've been doing it for the last couple of days. We got one coming every day till the Sunday. Going over each division. So until then, we got the White Snoop T-Rose signing out. Have a good night.
Check our videos at youtube.com/WhiteSnoop44. Email us at WhiteSnoopProductions@gmail.com. Become a fan at Facebook.com/WhiteSnoop244. Or follow us on Twitter.com/44Entertainment.
This has been the White Snoop Production.